Aha. So we are now live on our YouTube channel.
Cool.
So I guess now is the time when we should awkwardly live on stream try and tweet about the stream that we haven't told anybody about.
If you want, I can give the introduction while you're tweeting.
That's a good idea. I need to spend a little bit of time trying to find the link to the stream before I...
Sure.
Yeah,
All
go
right.
ahead.
So, my name is Jen Weber. I'm here with Chris Manson, and this is May I Ask a Question, the live stream in which we answer Stack Overflow questions, usually about Ember. Sometimes we just talk about Ember, and we don't answer the question in full at all, but hopefully provide a little bit of useful information or some insight into how we do debugging. Today is the last Thursday of May, and so we're squeaking this right under the wire. It's been a weird year, but here we are. We've got like half an hour, and we're gonna see what we can take a look at. So may I ask a question? Started when we heard some feedback that lots of people in the Ember community wanted more of the Ember troubleshooting knowledge represented in Stack Overflow, and so we started doing a live stream, and there were also a whole bunch of people who jumped in and answered questions on Stack Overflow as well, to the point that we would start the live stream and not have any questions to answer, and that was very cool. So this is more for tradition than out of necessity at this point, but it's a fun one.
It's interesting that you say that, because like obviously we're a little bit less prepared than usual. Let's put it that way. It being a weird year, but you sent me the link to the unanswered questions for Ember, and you say that a lot of them already have comments trying to answer the questions, and that's kind of, that feels interesting to me. It feels like, you know, we tried to get a bit of a buzz on answering Stack Overflow questions, and it's stuck around even between the months of May.
I think the challenge, though, is that to somebody who, I don't click into questions that have zero answers if I'm stuck on something. And so, although a lot of these have answers, they're answers as comments.
Yes.
Which I get, because writing a full-blown Stack Overflow answer, it's got to follow this format. It yells at you if it's too short, like all of the site does. All of those things kind of push you towards, like, have you tried blah? Is like sometimes all somebody needs. So we'll see if we can find one, though, that still needs our help. Or maybe we can talk about the topic a little bit more in depth, even if somebody else has answered it already.
Cool. So let me try and share my screen with you, because if we're working on the same thing, that would be quite a useful thing to do. Did that work? Yep. And I can still see you. Brilliant. This is working fantastically with all the preparation.
Just say it. Just you're gonna curse our live stream if you say that.
Yeah. For anybody who has seen one of our live streams before, usually myself and Jen are down here at the bottom together, but instead Jen is up there in the top corner. This is not using any fancy software. This is what Skype does.
Do I need to look down and to my left?
No, the other direction is where the screen is. There we go.
Right?
Yeah, if you just ponder, look in that direction when thinking about an answer to a question. Perfect. That's going to be the thumbnail right there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Right, so we've got a handful of questions here.
Ooh, this one's interesting. Error name not resolved.
I think this might be like, I don't know. I read over this one. Failed net, error name not resolved after a few seconds, and Ember showing a 500 error. They want to catch the network error. Oh, there's a place. There's a way to, you can,
WP, the WordPress is running on W. So this is interesting because, like, this feels to me like one of those questions that is asked in a way expecting Ember to be magic, and it's specifically asking in a way that Ember data is expecting to be magic, and it does kind of feel like magic a lot of the time. But in this scenario, there's a few like normal JavaScripty things that will really help you in this scenario. So that failure, first of all, the error name not resolved, that just means that the DNS error, like it's just a DNS error.
Yeah.
Either a DNS error or, like, if you look at what it's asking, you're asking for a WordPress category. Let me see. I'm working at Ember Data, many views, Rails, Postgres, WordPress backend. WordPress is running on WP. Ember is set up to work with Rails and WordPress backends, so I can do things. So they can do things like this. Blah. Error if the WP subdomain is offline. So that's this being offline. Okay, so they just want to know how to catch this particular error.
Yeah, and they're talking about how adding the catch breaks the page completely, and it remains white for about 2 minutes while there's a pending request. Then it shows 502 bad gateway. The 502 bad gateway thing, I mean, it's kind of funny, but I don't think I've ever seen this in my own apps. This 502 bad gateway message for Ember things. So, I mean, we have every Ember template has an error state available, or every Ember route has an error state available to it, right?
Yes, that's correct. I'm just going to quickly bootstrap an Ember app so that we can have a look at this. CD, what am I looking for? Temp, Ember. I'm just going to make a new one. npx Ember. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this on screen so people can see what I'm doing rather than just doing it behind the screen. So, I don't know if I've ever showed you this particular trick that I do. I used to do npm init Ember app, and that like always made sure that it was a up-to-date Ember app when you're creating a new one. But I think in npm 7 they changed the semantics of that and need to go and figure out how the create Ember app works. But this will always work. npx Ember CLI at latest new Ember ask a question. Boom.
I'm about to post that as a question to see you can post your answer there. How do I make sure that I'm always creating an Ember app using the newest version?
Yeah. It's I'd love for it to be the npm init thing, but it's this is interesting. You're not showing up if I do that. So what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to come out of full screen on these. Boom.
Okay. I can just be a disembodied voice as well.
No. If we if we make the big joke about you ascending, you got to be there on the screen, you know.
I also sent you a link to the Ember guides if you want to pull that up at some point. So cool. I was referencing while you're getting that installed and setting it up. Basically, Ember. So this person is asking about some JavaScripty things, how to catch errors and prevent like very automatic type error
Yes.
screens. But a couple steps after that question and how to catch those errors, it's useful to know that every route in Ember has a loading substate and an error substate, and you can provide templates for those loading and error substates in a way that, let's see, what does it look for? I think it just looks for, you can redirect to specific templates, but I also think you can provide an error template directly,
Yes.
if I remember right. So there's
Yes, you
all
can.
kinds of stuff to help you manage the like sad path of your app in a way that is repeatable and scalable between all of your routes in a way that you don't have to rewrite that logic every time.
I
All
don't
right.
know if I've ever told you this, but the error and loading substates are my favorite feature of Ember. Like by
You
far.
have.
Have I? Yeah, I
Yep.
just can't get over it. I just love it so much. Ember, ask a question. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna Atom. I'm gonna open it in Atom. And actually, what might be good, just so that we can show people what this actually looks like in reality, is it might be
Hmm.
worth creating these two things here, the articles and the overview routes, so
Sure.
that it
It's really
matches.
fast.
Yeah. So let me go. Ember G root. Did I spell that right?
Yep.
Articles. Woohoo! Oh God.
The word I can't spell right lately is candidacy.
Oh my God, that's even
That's
hard to say out loud.
all meaning. And I have to write it every single
Candidacy.
day.
That sounds like one of those ones that you might accidentally put in too many did in the
Yeah.
middle.
Hmm.
Candidacy.
Candidacy. Yep.
So I never remember. Do you generate a subroute with a dot or a forward slash?
I think it's a slash.
Articles slash
Because I think it follows like the
overview.
folder
Right.
structure.
Boom. This is
Probably.
even a nice demo for anybody who may be tuning in and not very familiar with Ember. Like
Mhm.
a lot of people look at the docs and it's like, where do I create the files? Where do I do all this sort of stuff? Another thing that I'm super happy about is generators. I
Yep.
love generators, and
See. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and like one of the best things about it is that what happens, like where you should put things and what goes in a file, has been slowly changing over time, and I never remember what the structure is anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
the generator does it for me. It's
Yep.
always the latest right thing in the right place. Oh, I love it. What were you going to say?
Oh, yeah. What I was going to also say is that for anybody who's like new-ish to Ember or new to our live stream, you'll see that like frequently what we do is create a fresh Ember app and use that as our testing ground. And this is a strategy that I recommend for things that are not a live stream about Stack Overflow. Like this was part of
Oh,
my typical debugging uh, approaches whenever I had something where I wasn't quite sure how it worked in Ember. I would make a fresh app because it helps me rule out um, anything that's strange or weird or buggy about my own app if I'm just focusing on this one little piece of Ember and trying to learn how it works. And then I can put that back in the context of the rest of my app so much more easily.
yeah. Yeah, I have done that so many times, especially when I'm like 8 levels deep on
Yeah.
why is this not working?
Or if
Like,
I'm not doing something with routing, maybe I'll make, if I'm having trouble with a component, I'll make a fresh component within my existing app. Like I don't always create something brand new, but that blank slate can really help rule out any other mistakes or problems that are happening elsewhere in the app. All right.
Okay, so something that you might have missed. I had a port is already in use. 4200. It's the default port with Ember, and this happens to me all the time. So instead of figuring out what screen I have something running, I just did a npm start -- space -p0. Do you ever use that one? Port 0.
No. What's that
So
do?
port 0 is give me the next open port.
Oh.
And then you get oh, look, we're serving on localhost 7020.
Is that a thing is that a special Ember CLI?
Yes, it's an Ember C. So
Oh.
the whole -- thing is a little bit weird with npm. If you've got npm start, so npm start is like Ember serve. So that's the same as saying Ember Ember serve, port 0. So like you tell it what port it is, but you can't open something on port 0. It just goes, oh, right, I'll go find a port for you and let you know.
Oh. I'm disappointed because I wanted to use this on my Rails apps and things. Maybe it's there too. I'll have to look.
Well, a lot of the good stuff from Ember comes from Rails, so it might be there.
Right, that's true. That's true.
So I'm going to do a little thing here. Application template. No, God, don't do that. Boop, boop, H1. Boom, 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 boom. So the thing that we're about to do with the error substates and whatnot, it's a little bit difficult sometimes to know exactly what template is actually running at one time. So we have the application template. We have decided we're going to do articles. So I'm going to do I can just do H2, can't I? Yeah. Articles. And then we want an overview page as well, which is going to be a leaf, so we don't need the outlet. H3, overview. So now we've got 3 templates. Boom. And I can do articles. Boom. And then I can also do overview. So now we have each of those templates rendering all at once. Right, so what is the next thing that we need to do in this question? We need a model hook. So I think the easiest way... Are you still there, Jen? I wasn't sure if you disconnected. Okay, you're still there.
Yes, I am. I've muted. And I actually started, since we're so short on time, I started writing out the answer, even though I don't know what it is. But
I love it.
I'm going to wait to let you fill in
So
the
good.
blanks.
So I'm going to do a little fun trick here. Because we want to do this as a demo, and if you're ever using this technique of generating a new Ember app to figure out a bug in something, sometimes it's a bug with a network request, like this one. You've got a 500 error or 502 or something, and you want to respond to it effectively. I like to generate I like to generate a mock server, and then I have control over what actually happens. Mock. So do you ever do this? Do you ever do HTTP mocks?
Yeah, I did a long time ago before I learned. There's another popular mocking library called Mirage. And HTTP mock is very bare bones. There's a lot less to know. And so, like, especially until I got good at Mirage setups and I kind of like had something established, I would often use HTTP mock.
Yeah, totally agree with everything that you just said there. Mirage is usually the better thing to use, like most cases, 99% of cases. The thing that I find, though, if we are actually debugging something, if it needs to be a real request, sometimes HTTP mock gives you like a slightly better experience. If you want to do something that's like, oh, actually I'm doing a network request to a real server, and that real server is sending something strange back to me. Which I don't even know how you would do something like that in in Mirage, you'd have to get into the guts to change the response behaviors. So let me see. Cool. So I didn't break anything. Great. And because it's a generator, I'm going to put... We have this thing here. So we have get, post, get, all these sorts of things. So what that means is that in our root articles overview, we can create a... this is interesting. So if I was just doing this with requests, I would probably just use fetch, but it's Ember Data. So let's actually use Ember Data. So I'm not creating a WordPress / category. I'm just creating category because I don't want to complicate it too much with like sub thingies. Model return this dot store dot. I guess we could just copy his code here. Let's see what happens. Can I save that and then fix? Yes, lint fix file. Yeah. Slug. I don't know what slug is. Okay, let's see what I did. I broke everything. Console. No model was found because I said I wasn't going to put WordPress. Oh. $404. Now, this is an odd one because I noticed this the other day. API. Have you seen this? When you generate a mock server, it puts everything under API.
Okay.
So that means it doesn't work out of the box. You have to Ember G adapter.
Oh.
And then you have to like
specify the
thingy. Is it
yeah.
like namespace or something? Let's try namespace, see what happens.
I think so. That sounds right. I can look it up while you are trying that out. Adapters. Yep, namespace. You were correct.
Oh, that's interesting. It also doesn't work because of the pluralization.
Nice.
Oh my god. JSON API document. Oh, this could be way better for somebody who is send categories, and it's like what? What's the JSON API structure?
Oh, it's like data, and then I don't know. I have to go to the JSON API website.
Let's just do that and see what happens. Get rid of everything else.
Yeah, I think everything goes in a data key.
And if I'm sending nothing, that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here.
I wonder if I used to use this tool called Swagger that for API specification, and nesting everything inside of data was like really annoying for the old Swagger, but this was like 4 years ago. I
So
wonder if
it's
it's
interesting
better.
you say that. I've been doing some stuff with modern Swagger,
Yes?
and it's
How is it?
not the way as it was. It's much better.
Ah, yay. It was
It's
amazing. To be fair, it was amazing back in the day. It wasn't amazing for my use case. I suffered through and I still used it, even though it was like really a pain with the nested data thing, because it was still great to have. But, um, all right, so what do we got here?
oh, whoops! I did it wrong because I sent an empty object in the array, but that's not what you just need to send an empty array.
Oh, all right.
Oh, this is interesting. This is now getting into what the person was trying to
Yep,
do.
yep. So this is the point where I'm wondering if you define an error template and we take away that transition to, will it take you straight to the right place?
Right. So let's kind of pause this person's work here for a second, and we'll just return the thing that they were requesting. Actually, no. What he wanted was like. So he's
He or
doing a
she,
query. Oh, sorry.
or
Yes,
they.
apologies. What they wanted was they wanted to get the first object out of the query and make that the return, which makes sense. But if it's not there, we transition to this other thing. So we'll pause that implementation for a second, just so we can. Right. We're back in the real world.
Okay.
So you said something. You want to know if we can transition to this error substate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we need to do first of all is we need to
I see.
so we need to have an error to get to the error substate. So this means that if this failed for some silly reason, like the subdomain being down, or
Mm-hmm.
you had something specific that was, happening, then we've got this error while processing route. So now is the magic. And I always have to double check. So there are three places that we can put this error template. We can either create an overview error template, or we can create an error template in the articles or just at the top level. So let's do it backwards. New file. Oh, are you on your clacky keyboard?
Sorry, yes, I am. I'll
That
mute
sounds
myself.
like a lot of fun.
Look at it. Look
Oh
at
my
it.
god.
It's very rainbow.
Are they changing colors?
Yeah,
Oh my god. Like, I am
it's
so jealous.
intense.
I'm so jealous of clacky keyboards for like all the colorful and awesomeness that you get. But I don't
Yes.
want a tall clacky keyboard. I love my like super thin,
Oh.
but I want it to be colorful. I want it to be awesome but thin.
Hmm. Maybe there's a market. Maybe there's a market. Also, I do kind of wish that it was the same loudness level as the little thin keyboards. I don't like the thin keyboards, but I do like having but it's loud. I have to remember to mute myself all the time, and as you can see, sometimes I
Well,
don't. I was busy composing our Stack Overflow.
yes.
Um,
So I have
did it work?
progress. Yes. So the thing I was saying is that there are three places to put it. So you can have the
Yeah.
application level, the articles level, and then the articles overview level. So I created the application one. So this means that if you have any error anywhere on any route, it will hit this error thing. So can you see that there? Now,
Yep.
that might not be specific enough for you. Like you have to have a really generic, an error has occurred, like in general somewhere, and replace the entire app with that. You could then create a error HBS. You can create an error HBS in here, and you can say an articles error has occurred. And that is interesting because it renders the application template, the articles template, but it doesn't render the overview template. It renders the error template where the overview template would go. Does that make sense? And then you can have an even more specific one where, like, so if you had more than just overview, you had like list or by or whatever it is in here, that they would always hit that error. But like if you wanted if overview errored in some way, overview error.hbs, overview ... but with an error. So that's actually the error error template for overviews specifically.
So I'm looking at this person's question one more time. And there's one more thing I'd love to test if we can do it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, buddy.
So they are saying that a small portion of their data comes from WordPress. And so I'm thinking about a scenario where maybe I don't want to show an error substate. Maybe I just don't want to load that widget, or like in their case, they say they want to potentially redirect. In the error substates stuff, I'm reading that instead of using an error template, you can also define an error action and then do a transition inside of the action.
Yes.
So I'd love to provide that solution to this person as well.
So I'm gonna let me give you let me generate somewhere to bring them to. Amber G root. What was it? Did they have alternative? Backup. So we have a backup route that we want to go to in that scenario. Yeah. Cool. And you want us to go there if there was an error. So
yeah,
that happens in here, doesn't it? Oh, this has changed since last I used it.
Yeah, so I have a link for you.
Is it the error event?
Yeah, the error action.
Yes. Okay, this thing. Boom, 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 boom. Does that look like what you were expecting?
Yes, that's the one I was looking at.
Cool. And you want us to, in this particular scenario, oh, we can do even better. Because we threw this error, didn't we?
Yes.
What was our error overview? Oh, it's just here. Something bad happened. So I just want to see the structure of this error. How'd you get the text of an error? Is it like message?
I think so. Yes.
So,
Very nice. Did it work?
there. Yes, it did.
That was fast.
So, in the event of us hitting this very specific error, we want to go this dot transition to backup. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, let me do something. Backup. Bing bada. Oh, bing bada boom. H2. Brilliant.
Haha.
So let me
Nice.
do one last thing, just so that we can actually see this in action. Link to root equals boom. So now we should have, oh, that's not how you do it. Oh, it's a dot there. Oh no. Okay, so we now have a link to the overview route. And when we click it, it brings us back to the backup route. So let's do that from the application. Boom. Brings us to the backup route. Hey presto, Bob's your uncle.
Can you show me one more time your code?
Do you want to see the route that does the action? Is that the...
Yeah. That's the one. So you did this dot transition to backup. So transition in this case is the transition
Ooh,
object. Can we use that?
that's a very good question.
I don't know what that's always been, that object has always been a mystery to me. Also, it's 4 minutes to the top of the hour, so we could also wrap up, leave this as a mystery
Yeah.
for
Well, now that we've got
future.
a YouTube stream that will stay up forever, this is a challenge to any viewers. If somebody wants to post a comment to the YouTube comment section under here somewhere, down in the doobly-doo, with how to use that transition object, and if there's anything cool that we can do with it, that would be awesome to hear about.
Anything cool you can do with it that's public API.
Yes. Yes, no private
You know,
API stuff.
I think this object is one of those ones that sometimes people reach into a little too far. If you see an underscore in front of anything, don't go there.
For sure.
All right, so this was our May I Ask a Question of 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Chris, thank you for streaming at the last minute. That's very fun, and I'm glad
so happy that it actually worked.
Is this year 4? I think this is year 4.
I think this is year 4.
Year 4.
Wow.
What a year. What a year it has
What
been.
a year. Next year, I'm going to say it now. Next year, we'll do it in person.
Yeah, that was great. I did it in person with Nullvox Populi
Wow, yeah.
at Timber Camp Chicago, and it was very fun. It was also very terrifying. He's much braver than me. All right.
Okay.
See you
I'll
later.
see you